Welcome back to Tad Talks, where every week I sit down with my dad and sustainability expert Tad Radzinski to ask him questions about sustainability topics. Last week we talked about recycling and how to ensure that the materials you put in your recycling bins actually get recycled. If you haven't seen that yet, you can watch that on Tad's YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about third-party certification for sustainability claims. So, as usual, we start off with the basics. What is third-party certification?
Okay, so third-party certification, this is a perfect example of a third-party certified product would be Energy Star certified products. So many of us buy appliances or TVs or computers, and you'll see that blue Energy Star label on there. And that's an example of a program where a manufacturer had to basically meet a standard or some requirements to get that product third-party certified, to earn that Energy Star label. So the way that would work is the manufacturer, let's say they're making a computer and they want to get it Energy Star certified, they would actually have to demonstrate by testing that the computer uses less energy than a standard computer. And then the Environmental Protection Agency would allow, they would apply for that, they would be approved, and then they would get the permission to use the mark, and then they would be listed on the Energy Star website. So that's an example of how a third-party certification will work for, say, electronic products. And it's an important program. It's actually one of the most well-known third-party certifications that are out there. Now, if you also look at other things, there's other certifications could be things like WaterSense. That's another EPA program that certifies products for water savings, like shower heads, toilets, things like that. So, if you're looking for those type of products that use less water, you would look for something like that. Now, our company, Green Circle Certified, is a third-party certification company, and they have developed their whole process and program based on a standard called ISO 17065, which basically defines how a certification body would do certification. So it tells you certain things like how you have to be impartial and how you have to basically do quality checks and have processes written and all that kind of thing. So when Green Circle does certification for, say, a recycled content claim, then what they're going to do is, if a manufacturer wants to make a claim to say they have got recycled content in their product, Green Circle would follow all the procedures and processes established in compliance with that ICE international standard, and we would then collect data and information from the manufacturer. So let's say last week we talked a lot about plastics and how where companies are trying to close the loop and get those plastics back to make them into new products or similar products. So what Green Circle would do is they would be verifying the information on the recycled content, basically making sure that they'd look at the recipe for the product. Just like you make a cake, there's a recipe to make a cake. If someone's going to make even a water bottle, there's a recipe on what goes into it. Is it so much recycled material, so much virgin material, any additives? And then you analyze all that, and then you basically collect information from the suppliers of the recycled content. You get a whole bunch of evidence to say, oh yes, we can see that you purchased X pounds of recycled content material. You are claiming you have, say, 25% recycled content in this particular product, and we can tell by mass balance that you actually then bought enough of the recycled material to make those products over a year with a minimum amount of material. So there's a whole process to get third-party certified. And the one thing is, a lot of companies make self-certified claims where they don't go through that rigorous review. And there's this thing called greenwashing sometimes, when a company either knowingly or unknowingly makes a claim that isn't accurate or doesn't actually meet the international or other standards that it should be complying with. So even recycled content claims, for example, have to be done in compliance with an international standard, ISO 14021, that basically tells you what is pre and post-consumer materials and how you define that. And then there's also the Federal Trade Commission has these green guides that we follow to make sure that you are making a claim that's in compliance with the Federal Trade Commission. And the Federal Trade Commission is a federal agency that if someone makes a false claim or something that's not entirely true, they can actually get fined for misleading a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot to it, but it's really important to look for labels because you know then that the company went through that rigorous process to verify that what they're saying is actually true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to say, like you said, with greenwashing, sometimes it is unknowing. Sometimes companies don't know that what they're saying is false. So that's an even bigger reason to get third-party certified, so you're protected in any case. And then, so I know that there are certifications for products.
Yes.
Are there certifications for operations claims, and what would those be?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of companies that are making claims like saying there's zero waste to landfill, for example. You see a lot of companies making those claims or putting that out there on commercials and things like that. And what they're doing is they're basically trying to divert materials from their factories and operations from landfill. So they should be doing that in a certain manner, which means they're looking at it from the perspective of can they not even generate waste in the first place, or any waste that is generated, can it be recycled, composted, used in a different manner? Sometimes companies will send some materials that maybe they can't recycle or compost or recover to waste to energy. So what these companies are committing to is basically reducing waste to the extent possible in their operations and not sending it to a landfill. So that's one example of an operations claim. And we do a lot of certification of those, and that's really a big one because that's complex. If you think about, say, an automotive manufacturer or a company that makes consumer products, there's a lot of complicated materials that come out as waste, and you have to look at everything. If a third-party certification is being done correctly for zero waste to landfill or zero waste, then whoever's doing this certification, like Green Circle, if we did that certification, we'd be looking at every waste that comes out of that facility, even hazardous, universal. Universal would be like fluorescent light bulbs and batteries and things like that, electronic waste. So everything we look at, we basically draw a box around the facility and evaluate that. So that's an example of an operations claim. Another one that might be if a company's claiming that they're using renewable energy, or a company is claiming that they are carbon neutral, or they have a reduced carbon footprint. Those are all operations claims where, if you remember, go back to some of our previous TAD talks where we talked about reducing your carbon footprint means reducing energy consumption. So a way a company might become carbon neutral and then get certified for that is they would reduce their electricity use, their fuels or natural gas, their fleet use as much as possible. Then they might buy renewable energy credits or carbon offsets, and they then go through an accounting process that would get third-party verified to make sure, all right, you are generating X amount of carbon emissions or greenhouse gases from electricity and fuels and energy, and then you're purchasing enough renewable energy credits or carbon offsets to make it balance out. So that's where the third party comes in for something like that, where you're going to do the accounting and you're going to make sure, all right, did they buy enough in RECs? Did they buy enough carbon offsets? What's their true carbon footprint? Analyze, make sure they calculated it per international standards or like the greenhouse gas protocols, things like that. So that's an example of those operations claims. And it's important to be looking at them because then that tells you the whole story. It's great to get a certified product, but if you can see a company that's doing good things in operations, also, we would call that someone who's doing what we call multi-attributes, and they're really taking a holistic view of sustainability, trying to reduce impacts of their product, impacts of their operations to give the total sustainability story.
Wow. Okay, awesome. And what should we as consumers be doing?
So we all buy products like we talked about, and if you go back to our previous TAD talks when we talked about reducing your carbon footprint and all that kind of thing, first thing I would say is if you're buying anything that uses electricity, look for the Energy Star label. Buy things that are Energy Star certified, and it's important to do that. You might pay a little more money up front, but you're going to save money in the long run. So if you select a TV, let's say you have two choices on TVs, one is Energy Star and one is not, and the one that's Energy Star costs $100 more, in the time frame you have that, you're going to more than save that money. So it's worth the investment. Same thing with like a refrigerator. If you're buying a refrigerator, definitely look for that label. That is the biggest energy consuming device in your home. So you want to make sure, because it runs all the time, it never shuts off. So if you buy an Energy Star versus non-Energy Star certified refrigerator, that's really cool. The other thing, water sense, you look for that label. If you are really interested in buying products and you want to drive, say you're interested in the circular economy, look for companies that are being certified for that recycled content or closed loop product claim. You want to look for companies that are actually being certified for their claims in terms of waste diversion from landfill, carbon footprint reduction, maybe renewable energy use. All of those different things are really important to look for. And as I've said in many of our other TAD Talks, we all have the power because we spend money. And if we spend money, we can then basically influence these companies to do the right thing, to basically design better products, to get them third-party certified, to really reduce the impacts of their operations. And we also have the ability through our voice to start asking these companies to do these things. Send an email, text them, do whatever you do to communicate it, and let them know what you're interested in. Just like we talked about telling companies you want reduced packaging in things they make, or driving that sustainability through our voice. And you'll see this being driven not only by us, but then there's big manufacturers that go down to their suppliers and say, we want you to have these products third-party certified. Or if you're going to make a claim that you're zero waste to landfill or zero waste or carbon neutral, we want you to have that certified. Mm-hmm. So that filters down from like a big manufacturing company. And we're really excited about the different products we've certified, the different operations claims we've certified. And I know there's a big announcement, I think, coming out today from one of our companies that is using ocean plastics that we've certified for, to be, basically circular materials as well as recycled content. So great stuff happening. And, I really applaud all the companies that are making commitments to do this stuff and are trying to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that we always talk to companies and we really urge them to be transparent and to educate and talk about their certifications, especially because a lot of the times we do see people making self-claims that turn out to be false. And I don't think consumers will ever be mad if you just come out up front and say, hey, we thought we were this, turns out we're not, but we are going to keep striving to get better, and we just wanted you guys to know. People just want to be in the loop and they want to know that you're doing your best. So be transparent, really educate about what you're doing, and your consumers will be very happy. So thank you so much. Yes. And please let us know in the comments what you guys want to hear about. We are taking suggestions for future TAD Talks. So thank you so much.